Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Higurashi. We're gonna be watching episode 4 and the final part of the Onitakashi anime adaptation. Yeah, should be good. Quick recap, I guess. What happened last time? Sorry. It's kind of blanking on it. I know we ended off before the finger crushing scene. Alright, we did the mochi stuff, the van stuff. I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of jumbled in my head, but I know for this episode it should be finger crushing stuff, just in vague terms. Mion crying, the chase scene, and the conclusion. All I asked for is I hope they do all of the good scenes justice, but I do hope especially they do the chase scene well, because the chase scene's probably my favorite, not my favorite, my favorite of the arc, but like one of my favorite Higurashi scenes in general. I thought it was like really well done in the visual novel, so we'll have to see. But yeah, let me just set this bad boy up and we'll get right into it. Try to cut down a little on the intro since we use a lot of time for the post episode discussion. But yeah, timer reaction, blah blah blah. Bring your own copy. I'll count you down from 3 and on go. Start the video. 3, 2, 1. Sorry, train's ruining the moment. Not cool. This episode's also 1 second longer than the norm. Kinda sus, bro. Anyways, 3, 2, 1, go! Get me in this action. Leg check, by the way. Yeah, this scene's really good too. Not lagging, confirmed. Okay. Yes. This is opening. But yeah, so what's happening in this chapter? Any other scenes that I did mention that were like really good? When I say conclusion, I guess that's pretty vague, but I'm trying to think of if they're gonna change anything, because last episode was like good in the way that they actually change scenes around, because most of the changes have just been cutting content and compressing, but this one could be so what I mean is I'm interested if they're gonna change any of the scenes around. They'll probably cut some of the chase. Obviously the chase is a pretty long scene, and cut some other stuff, but yeah. Oh yeah, I said I was pretty interested in seeing what the surrounding, when they surround the house. Kind of wanted to see what the peeps look like. We can imagine, but see, I don't know. I wanted to see that. Look at Keiichi's drip though. Oh, Jesus. That was cool. That was a new addition, by the way. She didn't do that in the visual novel. Jesus. Did they reveal Teichi's ramen beforehand or not? I guess you don't need the setup, technically. Do it! Do it! Uh, that was pretty good. That scene is really good, huh? Makes you so squirmish. I hate finger stuff, dude. But I think they didn't show any of the blood. It's apparently like it was a bit more brutal in the visual novel, but that gives a passing grade for me. Yeah, I kind of wanted to hear some more bone crunching because I think in the novel they kind of like jiggled the door and kept repeatedly like slamming it. Also, power outage. Well, it's not full power outage if the phone's working. This moment that caused me so much confusion that apparently a bunch of my viewers did not agree with my suspicions about this conversation, I think. Or no, no it wasn't. It was the other one. Never mind. Misremembering. I guess it turned out bats were just coincidence, huh? Kind of a spoiler, but lots of bat theories I guess were probably flying around for a bit. Hmm. It made me really appreciate the CG from Anatakeshi because that CG was really good. I think the one with Ren outside in the rain. All right, next to the next banger of a scene. Weird framing there. Did they change the order? Or no? Of the conversation? Probably not. Obviously this is just translated different. Uh, they never actually did a... Did they ever, like... Not to ruin the mood. You know what? We can talk about it after. I think, like, what I've said about last episode too and this one, I think Keiichi overall is, even though you're looking at it now, pretty aggressive, he does feel a lot less aggressive than he did in the visual novel. Surprisingly, I know you're looking at this and he's like pretty aggressive, but it comes off less bad. Yo, teleport behind you. Nothing personal, kid. Alright, showtime, one of my favorite scenes. Jesus. At least the voice acting is gonna be good regardless. Oh, that's definitely different, huh? I think. Where's the foreplay? This is straight into the meal. They actually skipped the majority of the chasing, huh? My heart. It's okay. It's an interesting way to do that scene. I know I had a discussion with a viewer because I was portraying this scene a little bit different, like the final confrontation with Rena. And I think you tried to link me the anime, but I didn't watch it. But it's definitely, this is definitely a lot different. Yo, fuck him up. What? It's cheating. Doing my boy dirty. He kicked their asses in the novel, kinda. Okay, we'll definitely have to talk about that scene. That was so heavily changed. Anyways, moving forward. Now that I think about it, how did this? I have a lot of questions actually for visual novel readers, or even I guess just Higurashi experts. This is the greatest bait ever. Not even a bait. It's like I don't know, I feel like this is just the basis of a lot of theories. Ooh. I wonder if they're gonna actually show this, huh? Wonder if it'll get kind of violent. Could be good. This scene was also pretty creepy, honestly. Just this part too. Injecting Keiichi. Okay. That is pretty graphic. Jesus. Ooh. Hated it when it hit the arm. I don't know why. Arm and leg stuff when they break seems, I don't know, makes me more squeamish. Alright. Ah, interesting. It is your boy actually coming, huh? I mean, it made sense, obviously, but it's nice to see. And the letter. Well, actually, seeing Ire would probably like help the anime viewers think about stuff a lot easier, huh? Okay. Little low curse there. That was good. I like the violence, though. Did mm, this is a good scene too. They'll probably show it, I imagine too. Oh, they're not showing our boy. What's his name? I forgot his name. Oishi's partner. Kuma. There you go. That's Kuma? He needs a glow up, bro. Why does he look like that? I like how they're doing this scene. This might be the best adapted scene in this episode. IMO. Sound effects. They're pretty good. Come on, show it. Mm. Aw. Still pretty good, though. Kumagai, bro. Alright, recap. That's nice if they do it. It'll help. Yeah, they're nice. It's good for anime only viewers, I think. It's weird how Wishi is saying it though. I thought they'd gonna show the throat ripping. Is that actually? I'm sorry. That's Kumadai. That's so weird. Hmm. I want to comment about this afterwards too. I think that's an interesting direction. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or just an after effect of the cuts. And credits. Yeah, okay. Anataki she done. So I didn't really commentate at the latter in the like final scene, so I was, concentrating on it. Interesting stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a different experience. Which again, our view is like always gonna be different from a anime viewer only. But I think that it's probably like because of like I don't know. I think one thing I want to say though is despite its reputation, I don't think it's like the gore is that bad. Like they didn't really show off the stuff I thought they would, like too badly. Maybe it'll change in the future. Not that that's like a complaint or anything. It's just like that's kind of the reputation, and honestly, something they should probably embrace a bit since the Higurashi story earlier is pretty gory, and I think gory can definitely, especially in film or TV format, can definitely I don't know the right word for it. I feel like it's good in short bursts, or at least catch the person's attention. New burn poem cut. Watanadashi. Nice preview. Okay, there you go. Thank you for watching this episode. If you want to stick around, we'll talk about it a little bit more because we have a couple of things to go over. So that was the conclusion of the first arc. Overall, again, I mean, excuse me. Obviously, I had a fun time doing it. It's a great arc. Let's go over scene by scene. I think it's kind of just the format of this reaction, going over the scenes and comparing them. So I do think the finger crushing scene was pretty good. I think it could have been a bit more violent, but maybe that was just my expectations veering into that. Like, that's what I thought the show would be a bit more violent, but I thought overall it was actually pretty good. Then the visual novel, like, again, I think he slammed it like multiple times and her fingers actually started to bleed, but that didn't happen there. But it was pretty solid. The power outage was, oh yeah, the the Rena mini jump scare thing was, when she first opened the door, was new. That was fun. There's also a power outage, kind of, which was kind of weird, making it a little spookier. Then you had the scene in the rain. It was good, but it was a lot more, I don't know, creepier in the visual novel, though I don't know how much they could have done to change that. I guess it's like kind of connects with like in the visual novel. Oh, actually, you do see the blood. You do see the blood. I missed it. I kind of just noticed it now in going through the scenes frame, going by the frame by frame stuff. There is blood on her hand. I don't know. It makes me, like I said in the thing, it makes me appreciate how good the CG for this scene was. If you want to ever like look back to that CG, it's like the one with Ren in the Rain was actually like really good. But overall, I think that was pretty good for what it was. You know, you expect it to cut down a bit, and I think came off pretty good. Then you have the Mion crying scene. This one felt weird, like it was in a different order. And then it felt less, like maybe like, I don't remember exactly like Keiichi's vocal performance in the visual novel for this, but Keiichi like came off a bit less aggressive than he did. Obviously he was still aggressive enough, but yeah, I mean it was good. Sad Mion. They never really did, like I was saying in the episode, they never really did explain, which I thought they would when I started Higurashi, but then I kind of forgot it. Like the moment where Mion references being able to kill Oishi. Like, she's like, oh, I should have killed him back then. Like, is she just talking about during the protest? Because I don't think there was like at least a documented event with Oishi and the Sonozakis that we know of that happened like in the span between the Dam Wars and now. So they never did answer that, huh? But yeah, alright scene. I think it came off a little less intense. Maybe it was also the switching around, because I think in the visual novel Keiichi ended with "You're not my friend anymore," which that's what made her cry, and in this one it was kind of like a mid sentence, and she started crying afterwards, or maybe not. I don't know. It's good though. I like the scene. They didn't see it. I mean, did we see Mion? How was Mion's crazy eyes? They were pretty crazy. It's interesting they still go into the cat-like form, because the cat eyes are like the equivalent of the dead fish eyes, but in this scene, her eyes weren't like dead fish eyes. I mean, the CG were like freaking weird red eyes, which looked just weird. But like this was like just full of rage, so I thought they would like change it to be different, to show a difference, but maybe it doesn't really matter. Then we went to my favorite scene, which they butchered, dude. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm not sad about it. So you got the beginning of the chase scene where Rena appears with the cleaver. This one she kind of teleports behind Keiichi, which is funny. But yeah, they kind of just skip to the final conclusion where in the visual novel it kind of did turn into a chase scene, because this is, I reference this as a chase scene, but there's not really any chasing. So like Keiichi kind of like walks ahead while Ren is just slowly following him and making comments like, she just wants to talk and stuff like that with the creepy laughter, sometimes hitting you with the lies and stuff. And Keiichi's just it's like so creepy, and Keiichi's performance also makes it, because instead, like, he's been like super aggressive for like most of this half, and in this one he sounds like he's on the verge of tears. He's like, why are you following me? I didn't do anything to you, stuff like that. It was just such an intense scene, but they did have to cut it for time, huh? I would rather them cut other stuff for time, honestly, if they had to, because that scene was so good. So it's a shame, but what's done is done, right? So that's probably the first thing I'm not really like. It's the first kind of disappointment. Like I sorry. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't really been disappointed in anything, because, you know, there's stuff I've been kind of like, I don't think it's as good, or stuff I was like, oh, that's kind of better, or whatever, or it's a pretty good adaptation. But nothing I've ever kind of been disappointed. But like I said, this was my favorite scene of Honor Takashi, so obviously a little disappointed for that. Excuse me. But anyways, what's done is done. Then they kind of just go into the final confrontation. So from my, like, I guess this is just, it depends on how you read into it, because it was just, because like I remember kind of arguing with someone on how the finale of the chase scene played out. So in my mind, which I don't remember the exact writing, but Keiichi actually fell down on his like butt, and while Rena was talking about, oh yeah, Shosama, she had her cleaver like over her head, and it was like ready to freaking chop Keiichi, and then Keiichi kicked her and then ran away. In this one, she kind of like almost gets close enough to kiss Keiichi, and then Keiichi kicks her away or something. It is different, but yeah, that was the chase scene. And then you get Keiichi being assaulted by the random guys. Did they have their MD uniforms on in the visual novel? I thought they were just like in casual clothes, but this one was different too. In the original, in this scene we see right here, Keiichi gets attacked by two of them, and then gets crept up on and hit by a third one. In the visual novel, oh yeah, I didn't even talk about the. We'll do it after. But in the visual novel, Keiichi, there's only two of them, and Keiichi actually kind of does a good job at fighting them off, which I guess is almost even like a little hint at how incompetent they kind of are, or maybe how good Keiichi is at combat with the bats. But yeah, he fights them off good, but then they overpower and sleep choke him. But another point that actually affects the scenes with the cut of the chasing is the actual location of all this taking place. Because with the chase scene, Keiichi actually ends up going to the dam site, which is, you know, and the dump site, which is this creepy place that Rena keeps referencing. She even references it in the chase scene. Keiichi's like, why do you have a cleaver? Or why do you have a hatchet? Then Rena's like, why do you have a bat? And he's like, oh, I'm practicing baseball. And then Rena's like, oh, I'm just gonna go dig up some treasure. it was like a really quick comeback, which Rena's good at, as we will see in later arcs if they include her quick comebacks. But yeah, so instead of like Keiichi being choked out like near the dam, or it kind of like that long way eventually leading to the dam, which seems to be like this pretty eerie and significant place. We kind of just get it like in the middle of the road back home, and like kind of in the forest. So definitely like not as grand as a setting, huh? But yeah, they changed that. They go right into Keiichi waking up with Rena and Mion. I was always kind of interested about this scene too, I guess. Like, why did Keiichi end up back home? I doubt the MDs would just bring him back home. I guess it's probably because Rena came. so they couldn't really like bring Keiichi back to you know where. Um, but yeah, so this scene happened. They strip a lot of the, or they cut a lot of the beginning where it was just Rena, and Rena kind of explains how Keiichi got back there, saying, "Oh, I found you lying on the floor, and you walked back with me." Then they taught. Then Mion comes when Keiichi was going downstairs to call someone, I think. Then they do the whole, oh, we told the doctor and the manager baseball stuff, which again I mentioned in the episode. But it was like I'm sure that's like, if you are theory making to Higurashi, it's probably like one of the key points you take from this episode and try to do a lot with it. So nostalgic, dude. But yeah, you had the injection scene, which was pretty good. I thought that was pretty well done. Into Keiichi killing them. In the visual novel, the scene actually isn't depicted. He kind of just wakes up and finds the bat and finds them dead. But I do like the inclusion of showing Keiichi actually killing them. Also, fun fact: the bodies aren't. I mean, obviously, it's not as gory in the visual novel. I think the whole room was just freaking splattered in red and brains and shit everywhere. But I'm pretty sure also in the original visual novel, Mion was like leaning on the window because she was trying to escape through the window. So I don't know. That doesn't really matter. I thought it was pretty well done. And then straight to the letter. The letter was fine. And then the final scene where Keiichi tears up his own throat. I thought this was probably executed the best. They didn't really cut anything. I would have liked to see Keiichi actually rip his own throat, because during the phone call with Oishi he starts doing it. But overall, I think this was a solid scene from Oishi, despite Kumadai kind of looking stuffed. Hopefully they will, like I said, give him a little glow up by watching it. I mean, by watching it, actually, he was a bit more relevant there, right? Or maybe, like, since this is based on the OG sprites, I bet Kumadai probably didn't have an OG sprite. But still, dude, my boy deserves better. But yeah, this was a great scene. Also, I forgot to mention, when Keiichi escaped the house, you actually see Irei at the helm, which, if you were an anime viewer only, that would probably help with a lot of your theory making, actually seeing Irei. Which, I mean, it made sense. You called the doctor, and you saw Irei in the last episode. But if you were a visual novel reader only, despite knowing that you went to the Irei clinic, you've never actually seen Irei or know him as a sprited character, so it's a lot more mysterious. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, right? In the anime, you get a lot less answers, or a lot less details than you do in the visual novel. So giving some extra answers is actually like probably a good thing. So kind of kudos if they did it for that reason. But yeah, good final scene. Then you got the final narration going over stuff. It was kind of interesting they chose Oishi to do it, because in the visual novel it was just a random person, because they also kind of suspected Oishi of being involved in the crime, because they noted that that Oishi was hanging out with Keiichi and he was the first on the crime scene, and they're like, oh, someone removed something from the clock, and they thought it might have been Oishi. It was obviously it was a little less detailed of sort of a recap, but a lot less happened. And I just realized that I didn't realize beforehand or mention in the other episodes. They did not do the footstep thing at all, right? No mention of the footsteps. They didn't do the scene where Keiichi felt the presence and like destroyed the doorway. So they obviously, that I just thought of it now because of the recap. But yeah, they cut that whole thing out, which is interesting because the footsteps are a pretty important part. I mean, they cut out the intro with the sorry woman, which also would have been a nice flashback thing when they mentioned the apologizing and stuff. But yeah, I'm interested that they cut the footsteps. That feels kind of important, and maybe, I mean, it's not that important, but I mean it kind of is, because it's present in literally like this like feeling that you're being followed or whatever is literally present in like all three of the major arts in the question art. So yeah, interesting choice, huh? um did I miss anything else now that I missed talking about the footsteps? I don't think so. I think that's it. Interesting. Again, it's a different experience, but I'm generally enjoying my time. Um, and besides the chasing, I think I'm fine with a lot of the changes. And then it's just a natural thing of losing details, in literally every adaptation of anything, especially something like Higurashi, which is super long. But I think they did as well as the job as they could, and well, maybe with the constraints. But I also think they did improve on some stuff, like showing the killing, showing the killing of Mion and Rena. I also kind of like the killing in the very first episode too. Skip the poetic monologue from Keiichi, which was always kind of weird. But yeah, no, good stuff, good stuff. Strong start. Keeps me wanting more. So next time we will be diving into Watanadashi. Probably my favorite chapter of the question arc. It's a toss up. For me personally, it's a toss up between Anutakashi and Watanadashi for the question arc. So see how they do that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And I will see you next time. Bye.